question. Thank you very much.
I think we'll begin. Good afternoon, all of you. It's 12 o'clock, and I know we are running behind time. But thank you for paying me the great honor of coming back from the informal break. Because I was afraid that after listening to Pranab Bhai, people might say, oh, we have got our money's worth for this seminar. It's time to go. Well, Pranab Bhai kept talking about increasing productivity, especially when comparing with the US and ourselves. So let me try to increase productivity of my own session by reducing the time and still giving all the value. Okay. Thank you also, Pranab Bhai, for introducing the whole concept of Kaizen. And yes, indeed, Technova in many ways is a very remarkable company for us because Technova enjoys a very high market share. And usually when a company has a very high market share, they tend to say, oh, we don't need Kaizen, Poison, nothing. Yeah, we are okay, we are doing well, our customers are happy, everything is fine. And then, as he showed, it's time for the decline to start. But Technova was picked up Kaizen when it was already on the upward path. That's very rare, I must say. And thank you very much for having done that stuff. So, to me, this is a very interesting situation because we just look at these things, like what is Kaizen, how it started, basic principles, what stage can you do it, where can it be applied, and how to do it. And then we would like to have some examples from the printing industry itself. As a pilot, we had 2 cases here, and both the cases are, I will leave it to them to present it. Okay. So, to me, this whole thing is very interesting that the printers are here, and when I was reading the statistics about more than 1 million people are employed directly by the printing industry, I thought this is very interesting because the company which Pranab Bhai mentioned, okay, was the company called Toyota, if you remember. And I don't know, but those of you who are old and bald and no hair and grey hair like me, you remember how the reputation of Japanese quality was, say, 40 years back or 50 years back. Very bad, yes, that's right. Japanese products were regarded as very bad products. And when Toyota started, they had launched a model AA, which they put in the US. And this model simply did not have enough horsepower to catch the speed required on the expressway in the US. And the expressway in Japan was unheard of in the 1950s. So they had to recall that model and said, we have to do something. And the owners, Mr. Toyoda himself, and one of the young upcoming managers called Taiichi Ono, these people, they got on to it and they said, let's do something. So they visited Ford, and Ford was kind enough to allow them to visit. And they saw a lot of things there. They came back and they said, now we are not going to do what Ford is doing. Otherwise we can at best catch up. But now we have understood how not to manufacture cars. And we will now develop our own system, which today is called the Toyota Production System. But when they started it, they didn't have any name or something for it. They just started it informally, and they called it, I don't know why, they called it Kaizen. And even today, in Toyota, the program called Kaizen runs. So whatever changes they want to make, they make it under the name of this program called Kaizen. And today, you know, that Toyota is now, the big 3 does not contain, it used to be GM, Ford and Chrysler. Even after Chrysler joined up with Daimler, now the big three contains GM and Toyota. And very soon Toyota is poised to become number one. You saw the profit figure also. I presented to you. Now, Toyota started this journey in the 1950 or so, around that time. And you know, when I did my PhD in the subject of Kaizen, my professors from IIT forced me to read more than 100 books. At that time it was very painful, but today there's a lot of knowledge. So what I discovered, a lot of it was the history of what happened. And Toyota started this in the 50s, first in-house, let's strengthen ourselves. And then as they went on, they needed to take it to the suppliers. You know, the automotive industry is a little different from many others because it has got hundreds or even thousands of suppliers. Okay. So they started taking it to the suppliers, and because that's 1,000 industries, that's 1,000 companies, gradually a new culture started coming in Japan. And what we see today is the result of this new culture. If you look at the history, the government in Japan was and still is as miserable as any government in Japan. Okay, no great shakes. Yeah? But this one company started something which started changing the culture. Now, if Toyota is very successful by these practices, Kaizen practices, then Honda has to catch up, Nissan has to catch up, you can't stay away. And literally, a national cultural transformation started. In the 80s, it leaked out when they joined up with General Motors and set up a plant called Lumi in Tennessee, USA. So it started spreading to the whole world. Okay. So what Toyota started spreading to the whole world. And you know about whether India can do it or not. I don't know if you saw in a newspaper called DNA. 3 days back, there was a news article, and I'm going to read one paragraph from it. It says, this should be music to the ears of Indian manufacturers. Hiroshi Okuda, chairman of the Toyota Motor Corporation, the world's most efficient automaker, now believes that Indian and Thai companies are closing the gap in quality. You know why Thai? Because Thailand is the only Toyota factory outside Japan which is able to make a quality that they can export to Japan. Even Toyota USA cannot make cars which can be exported to Japan in quality terms. Only Thailand has reached that point. Okay? And now he's saying, Mr. Okuda is saying India too. And if you see, how was the Indian automotive industry 15 years back, 20 years back? Primitive, absolutely. Yes, there's still evidences of that on the road. Okay. But you know, this industry did something amazing. About the 1990s, early 90s, somewhere there, if you look up the history carefully, somewhere the automotive industry took the lead in putting up their hands and saying, I don't know how to manufacture. This is despite the great successes of the premiers and the Hindustan Motors and whatnot, telcos and so on. I don't know how to manufacture. And they did another amazing thing. You know? They did what normally Indians don't do. India is a completely westernized country. Our thinking patterns, everything is completely westernized. Food habits, and their clothing, everything. Yeah. So somewhere they stopped looking west and turned east. And east, of course, was Japan. And they looked east and they started saying, what, come on, you know, come on, tell us. I don't know. See, when you say I don't know, it's great. Why? Because it's like, yeah, it's like emptying the glass. Now you can fill the glass. As long as you know, I know how to manufacture. You can't learn it. So the LED, L, it doesn't happen at all. So they emptied the glass saying, I don't know. Yeah, so like our first speaker said, you know, I walk into New Zealand and I don't know anything. I have no friends, nobody. So the glass is completely empty. So I'm ready to learn. And I just had this dream. I'm ready to learn. Dream plus willingness to learn, boom. Right. So this is what they did. And then they picked up these things, Kaizen and so on and so forth, and many other things, like you said, breakthrough technology and so on, directly from people from Japan. And today, yeah, Mr. Okuda goes on to say, that the evidence he offers is compelling. Okuda, who is also the chairman of the committee that hands over the coveted Deming Prize for quality in Japan, said, last year, not a single Japanese company won the Deming. That's because most of them have won it already. Don't take it seriously. And a majority of winners were companies either from Thailand or India. Note, not China. And just 2 months back, I was in China, in the Shenzhen area, and and there is no understanding of all this at all, what we have in India today. Now, this same automotive industry today is going global, and seriously, India is getting considered as an automotive hub. Except that we still lack the infrastructure, so you will make the best quality product in the world, but the container cannot reach the docks because there is no road. And in China, the containers travel at 90 kilometers per hour, minimum speed on the expressways between Foshan and Shenzhen or Hong Kong. Anyhow, but things will happen, I'm sure. And as you rightly said, I mean, the people have now given up on the government and are finding their own ways. And the government is also allowing people to find their own ways. Things will change, things will happen. So that's our automotive industry, which was nothing 15 years back and is now literally a flagship in India. Now, why I'm giving this automotive example is that Toyota started this one little thing, and by taking it to hundreds of suppliers, the culture, national culture, industrial culture changed. Okay. Now, to my mind, with your kind permission, I'm going to say that Technova is on the verge of doing something like this. Okay, except that they're not going to their suppliers, because suppliers is just, I mean, you change the culture in Indal, it's not going to change the national culture. Yeah. But Technova is taking this to the customers, and that's why we guys are thrilled about being associated with this process, and we feel honored that we have been permitted to be associated with this process. By encouraging the customers of Technova, that is the printing industry, to take on Kaizen, continuous improvement, and even other things like that. Okay? What's going to happen is that we have more than 1 million people employed. And these are people from various strata of society. You know, the printing industry has got people who live in, how should I put it, in Kapparate, as well as the guy living in, say, Dharavi. Okay, both of them come together in the factory. So that sense, the printing industry, I thought, is rather unique. And if the culture in the printing industry begins to change, I see the national culture will have to change. Because there will be enough seeds in the Dharavis and the Devanans and wherever to start changing the culture around. And we have seen this happening. We have seen it in Associated Capsules and some other companies also, where in Dahanu, a whole cultural change started just with this one company introducing TPA. Right? So that's why I'm really delighted to be here. And let me just expose what this whole concept of Kaizen is briefly, and then we'll hand it over to the printing industry experts. Okay? So when history is written, I mean, today's day can really be marked out as a day when there was an informal launch in this small place in Bombay called Mehter of changing a national culture. And it's too early to talk about it, so we have to keep quiet, we have to put our head down, we have to work, and we have to have a dream. If we have no dream, then nothing is going to happen, undoubtedly. But after the morning session, I think at least I started dreaming. So, but how to make the dream come true? Somebody was asking, what are you going to do? Or what did you do? And everybody says, yeah, I also have a dream, but how is it going to happen? You need a power tool, really powerful tool. And the tool we offer is Kaizen. Okay? Briefly about Kaizen Institute, Mr. Masaki Imai wrote a book called Kaizen, The Key to Japan's Competitive Success, in 1984. And he's one of those rare Japanese like Professor Shiba, who knows English very well. So he wrote it directly in English and published in the United States. And that built up a whole business, which I'm not expanding on. But right now, we have a global business called Kaizen Institute in Europe, America, Africa, India, Asia Pacific. I belong to this red territory called Asia Pacific, and so does my colleagues, and so on and so forth. Okay. So we are a global consulting company, and though the name is Institute, it's actually a privately owned consulting company. And Mr. Imai always says, an interesting thing he says, the future of India is with the family-owned businesses. Can you tell why? He says future of India is with family-owned businesses, not so much with the so-called professional businesses. Because family-owned businesses have one advantage over professional companies. The MD doesn't have to worry about getting changed after 3 years. Usually. Okay. So the family-owned businesses have a tendency to go for long-term policies. And they can build up long-term visions. Whereas in many of these so-called professional companies, or with an expatriate MD or even a professional MD, I know it's like in the government. It's time 3 years, so stop maintenance, you can show reduction in cost, increase in output. Anyway, the machines will all break down, but by then I'll be transferred. It's okay. Right? So it's really, that's another thing this industry has. It's a lot of family owned. Right? So, we have a lot of music. Yes, we have that. The beautiful thing about India is that it teaches you how to work and be successful despite everything being against you. And that's why when Indians go abroad, it's a cakewalk. Okay. So what really is Kaizen? Kaizen is a Japanese word. Any of you can read Chinese characters. It means Kai is change, Zen is good. So change for better or continual improvement is Kaizen. And what we mean by Kaizen, okay, there are many misconceptions, and this word is nowadays used quite freely. And if you go to the railway station, suburban railway station, and you try to, nowadays they put up some map. So you touch your finger on, say, Vashi, and you touch another finger on the other, it tells you how much fare you have to pay. Okay. So you'll find that it is manufactured by some Kaizen Technologies Private Limited. So you'll find a lot of IT companies have chosen the word Kaizen, just because it's a good, nice sounding word. So a lot of misconceptions have proliferated. And when anything becomes successful, you get a lot of people offering it, whether they know it or not. You know very well. So this is the official definition as our boss, Mr. Imai, gives. He says, what really is Kaizen is straight out extracting money. It's a money extraction process. Money extracting from where? By eliminating waste. Okay, from the process. So in other words, it's a process improvement. Simply put. But it's process improvement which is significant. Okay, large process improvement. So I just show you the kind of assignments we guys from India have done. All right, we went to this company. Can you guess which company this is and where it is? The assignment was to save $1 million as certified by the accountant in 6 months. That's 3% of their cost of goods sold, cost of goods produced. Sorry. Can you guess which company? Not Hindustan. Lever, yes. Unilever, yes. But yes, absolutely right. Yes, Thailand. Correct. So we undertook this kind of a project, that's Unilever in Thailand, and we did 13 projects based on an assessment, and we were able to get this certified by the accountant. Okay? Yeah, they were already a TPM award-winning company. That is, they had reached certain level, so it was much easier for us to do it. Okay. Done in strategically important areas. So what is Kaizen? Process improvement which is significant and done in strategically important areas. Okay. This was Tetra Pak in Singapore, later in Pune also. And they have this flexo printing, the huge printing machines, and they tell me that it costs something like $6 million. And this in Singapore, business is expanding, so they want to buy one more machine. They write to the European headquarters, please allow us, give us a budget to buy one more machine. And Europe says, no, you do Kaizen. What Kaizen? You want to increase the business, don't waste our time. They say, no, you do Kaizen. We don't know what is Kaizen, we know what is printing. Okay. So I said, fine, we'll send you a consultant. So we guys were sent, being geographically nearer perhaps, we were sent there to Singapore. And we said, yeah, we looked at the utilization of the machines. And the utilization was about just about 30% for each printer. And Mr. Piet Otten, who was the factory head, he was a Dutch person, posted there, expatriate. And he said, what are you talking, Dr. G? It cannot be. Our machine is never idle. He has been to China, India, and so on. This is Singapore. Our workers don't sit idle. So I said, boss, but that's what your data shows. So he said, come down. You know, you say go to the Gemba in Kaizen. We'll go down. Let's see. So we went down, and sure enough, the printing machines were stopped. Why? There was a changeover going on. You call it make ready, right? Yeah, so there was a changeover from one kind of printing to another. So he says, yeah, I mean, that's legitimate. I said, yes, but it's still a stoppage, isn't it? Yeah, but what can we do? You know, customers are very funny. Earlier they used to order 10 rolls at a time, now they want one roll. So we are in a funny situation. With a high-speed machine, we have got half an hour of printing and 45 minutes of changeover. So this is what is happening. What can I do? And that's why I want a third machine. Boss, if you don't mind, just try out one new method we'll try. It's called SMED, single minute exchange of dice. We won't reach 1 minute, we won't reach 10 minutes, but maybe 45 minutes will come down to 30 minutes, 20 minutes, something like that. And if it does, then your equipment utilization will go up. And if that does, maybe you don't need to buy a second machine, third machine. It happened. It took us a few months to do that because it usually goes like this, you know. You take 4 months to achieve this, out of which 3 months are spent in convincing the boss that it can be done. Okay. So first the boss says, this is Flexo. What do you know about Flexo? I said, I don't know. Except for the spelling, hopefully. I don't know what is Flexo. So these head office people are mad. They're sending ignorant people. I said, you know my strength? Complete ignorance of their industry. You know that bumblebee thing? The aerodynamic. Scientists did aerodynamic studies of the bumblebee and proved by scientific theory that it cannot fly. Fortunately, the bumblebee doesn't know aerodynamics. So it flies. So in the same way, these guys, you know, Mr. Piet Otten and all those guys, they're all experts in printing. So they proved to me that it's impossible to reduce it below 45 minutes. Now I have this great advantage, like the bumblebee, I don't know printing. So I don't know that it is impossible. Okay? So I walk in and say, out of ignorance, I actually bring it down to 30 minutes. Then we have some other consultants here, like Mr. Satish Pendarkar and Yas Nishimapani and so on. And sometimes they come in and they say, oh, Dr. G brought it to 30 minutes, we have to teach him a lesson. And we'll bring it down to 20 minutes. So this is how it happens. So 3 months to convince the boss, हो सकता है, जब मेरे को shop floor पे छोड़ो यार, कुछ करने दो. Then he said, चलो करो. After that 15 days. Okay. Now you might be saying, hey, look, stop talking of Tetra Pak and Unilever. Okay, I don't deal with millions of dollars. Surely you deal with millions of rupees, or millions of paisa at least. So let's not say $1 million, let's say 1 million rupees, or 1 million paisa. What's wrong with that? Yeah, so don't bother. Don't worry about the scale. I gave this big example just to impress you. Alright. And you might be thinking, but you know, we won't be able to afford Tetra Pak consultants. Don't worry. Under great pressure from Technova, we have got a very attractive scheme for the early birds. The only condition is they have to be introduced by Technova. So, yeah, but it's all work to it, you know, because we are in this business of we are getting into a game of changing the national culture. And if our nation really goes up, like those figures show, if we beat that deadline of 2015 or 2040, we do it much earlier, who's going to benefit? I'm going to benefit. You're going to benefit. We are all going to benefit if things improve in the country. Yeah. Thirdly, in Kaizen, what we do is we are eliminating waste by doing process improvement very speedily, fast. Okay, rapid, speed. So we talk about weeks. In fact, Pranab said, you know, we compared so many techniques, like one of them mentioned was Six Sigma. Six Sigma is a very valid and beautiful problem-solving technique. Mr. Satish Pendarkar here, who is with us, is a Six Sigma black belt. Okay, so, but you'll find that Six Sigma is, while it is statistically very, very valid, okay, it is slow. So typically you take projects 6 months, 8 months, और चलते ही रहता है. Now it's very impressive to show a visitor. I have got 215 projects going on. Everybody is involved. Last 6 months they are working on this project. But I see it's a rich company, you can afford to have that defect continue for 6 months. Just because you want to statistically validate it. Whereas you see the figures that were shown for Technoma, like some 212 projects done and so on and so forth. I'm sure, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, each project must be taking a week, 10 days, month at the most, like, you know. And mostly the action is 2 days, 5 days, 10 days, 20 days. And then there is a checking period for a month, 2 or something like that, where you might want to find it. Speed, rapidity. Rapidity is the whole key of the progress. This is a company in Malaysia. This is a foundry. Okay, foundry people are very special. And I don't know, you can ask yourself whether it's true of the printing industry or not. When you walk into a foundry, they say, we are not a factory. We are a foundry. We are a different breed. All the examples you gave from a factory don't apply to us. Okay, a tough customers. This was a foundry in Malaysia making this product called as a crankshaft. And they're getting a porosity defect. Okay, they were paying $250,000 annually to inspect for the porosity defect. They were making losses. 60 ringgit is the price at which they sell to Proton. No, Proton. Yeah, the Malaysian big car maker. And 22 ringgit is the cost of X-ray. How can it be economical? But they are the sole suppliers, and Proton said, if you stop supplying this, then we stop all your other products. So they're dead. Right? So they say we have to continue. But they're bleeding. So they call the technical consultants. Alright? Once again, the bumblebee story. The foundry experts, I'm sorry, there was one even from India. Yeah? Okay. They call the foundry experts from all over the world, and these guys come, and I'll tell you a secret as a consultant. Any of you are consultants here? Okay, if you want to enter consulting business, I'll tell you a secret. Always give a solution which the company cannot implement. Okay. Or give a solution which costs $5 million. That's exactly what these guys did. They said, you change the whole sand system. Okay, your sand is coming too hot, it should come colder. That's $5 million US investment. Now, two things happen. One is the company says, I can't invest. In which case you say, what can I do? You wanted a solution, I gave you. You don't want to implement it, you have another. Anyway, here's my fees. Okay. The other alternative is the company actually spends $5 million and invests. Okay. And suppose it doesn't work. Now, there's human psychology. If you have spent 1,000 rupees, you are ready to accept that it was a stupid investment. I made a mistake. If you spend 1 crore of rupees, are you ready to accept that I made a stupid investment? So people say, no, it has other fringe benefits, that you don't understand, like the NASA program. Okay? So my main problem is not solved, but we are getting fringe benefits. So don't say that I made a wrong investment. Because if you admit that I made $5 million wrong US investment, the CEO is sacked. So obviously you can't do that. So that's another trick as a consultant. Okay, make them spend a hell of a lot of money. Then they will go around saying this consultant is wonderful. He gave us a beautiful solution. It didn't work, but fringe benefits were fantastic. Okay, so we attacked this. And exactly in 1 week's time, Monday to Friday, the problem was cracked. And today, this was on 24th February we started, 2004. On 28th February, we completed it and produced zero defect crankshaft. To date, they are producing zero defect crankshaft, no X-ray. That whole money is saved. And of course, my Malaysian colleagues have got to work in all the group companies. Guys, there is widespread in the group companies. My point is speed. Okay, speed. Yeah. So whatever you want to do, I'm sure you are in a big hurry. As it is, just suited for that. Brought it to zero, beyond Six Sigma, just 4 or 5 days we do, that's all. Then in sustainable manner, alright? Yeah, this was in L&T here in Powai itself, where they had this huge warehouse, okay, and you can see this lady here, she is there in the photograph, looking up, and people used to visit this warehouse, to see the special high-rise stacking arrangement. Warehouse means what? Good thing, bad thing. Oh, I've got stock worth crores. Good thing, bad thing. Yeah, bad thing. ask yourself how much of paper stock you have. Anyway, don't answer, just ask it. So, oh yeah, we have got huge amount of stocks. So, but somewhere something is going wrong, so they called us in and they said, we demolished this warehouse. You can't see it now. This is a heritage forever. History. You can't see it now. It's gone. It looks like this. And the whole economics, now don't spread this, but the whole economics of working at Powai has changed. It's no longer uneconomical to ship the factory out. Of course, officially it will never be announced, union reasons. But they intend to continue. They're actually making their shop floor like this. Why? They put in new products. Why? Free labor, free space. Free space in Bombay. So they promptly put new lines. And who manned the new lines? The free labor. Where did the labor come from? The guy who used to use that high stacking arrangement now does assembly. Unproductive worker became productive worker. Correct? Economics changes. Everything changes. What we say in Kaizen is many times, just something very simple. We say, work in the same old way, you'll get the same old results. Okay? Change the way of working, you'll get different results. You don't need capital investment all the time. Of course you need capital investment for technology. But again, as was shown in the last presentation, you just buy a new machine is not going to solve your problem. But you must be able to work it well. Otherwise, you buy a Toyota Corolla, or you buy a Mercedes or a Lexus or whatever, and then the guy uses it like a Belgadi. Okay. So many times you'll find, high-speed automatic machines are bought, and then you just go a few weeks later, and you'll find that the sensors are removed, the limit switches are taken off. सब वो बराबर चलता नहीं है. वो हम ऐसा अपना हाथ से चलता है. मेरा experience से मैं चलाता हूँ. So the guy brings that machine down to the Premier Padmini level and then says कि अभी मेरा दिमाग से मैं चलाता है. And then we wonder why we are not getting those technological advantages which the machinery manufacturer promised. ऐसा. So things go like this, and what you have to do is you have to work with completely new paradigms. Now some of these paradigms are completely shocking, and they're exactly the opposite to what we often hear. Exactly the opposite. Alright? I'll give you a simple example. Yeah. You look at these three things, material, equipment, and people. Okay, just look at these three. Equipment, material, and people. You want to maximize the utilization. Which is the most important? Utilization, you understand? Like utilization of people, utilization of machinery, utilization of material. Which is the most important? Yeah, all three, but it's difficult. I mean, where should we start? Yes, you had a hand up.
Waiting times.
Yeah.
Material.
Equipment.
Equipment, people. Okay. Most traditional way. I'm sorry, but what we learn in management colleges. Okay. Yeah, and I have been teaching 25 years, so I know what the syllabus contains. So, most commonly, people look for utilization of people. If it is people-oriented, if manpower is cheap, they look for utilization of machines. Actually, what you need to look at is utilization of material. That means material must flow. I don't know, but some printers, not here, but some places that I visited, I mean, they showed me a huge place, a huge printing factory, an impressive printing factory, modern machines, and if you stand in one corner of the factory, you can't see anything. Why? There are huge piles in between of, this is paper to be printed, not yet printed. This is printed but to be folded. This is folded but not packed. All sorts of things like that. Okay? And then when you meet the MD, he tells you, I am planning to buy another plot next door, because I am short of space. And I have to expand. Okay? And when you actually go through the material, you find कि अभी धन छाप रहा है. क्या छाप रहा है? नहीं साहब, एक्चुअली ये छापा था, बट क्या है वो मिलता नहीं है, किधर तो गया है. Don't worry, your printing presses. तो मिलता नहीं है, तो हम ढूंढ रहे हैं, तो ये चीज इजी है, छाप देगा यार, ऐसे क्या फर्क पड़ता है? वैसा तो अच्छा रेट में लिया था. Okay, now you know why the other guy can always cut you at a lower price. There is always scope. Okay, but I would say don't give the lower price, just keep the profit. If you don't like it, pass it on to me. So anyway. So you'll come across some paradigms like these, which are drastically different. There are roadmaps, but I won't give you details now. It's of no great consequence. But one of the key paradigms, which I want you to please understand is, we look at everything as a process. Like you start with paper and out comes your printed material. Okay, yeah, everything is a process. In the accounts department, the invoice from the supplier comes and out comes the check. Okay, hopefully. So everything is a process. Okay. In the HR department, the HR person, the applications come in and the person gets recruited. That means the processed application goes out like that. So we look at all the activities and we classify the activities into two and only two types. The great thing is only two categories. It's either value adding or it's not value adding. So when you pick up a paper which you are going to print on, you ask that paper, is it value adding or is it not value adding at any moment of time? So the paper is sitting in the warehouse. Is it value adding or not value adding? No. Khatam. No, but actually it will be more expensive for me if I don't buy it now. But it is not value adding. Okay. Then you move the paper from there to a machine. Value adding, not value adding. Not value adding. You are transporting the paper, it's not value adding. It's value adding only for the transportation industry. If you own the truck and you're in the truck business, yes, it's very value adding. Alright, now it's gone there and it's sitting by the side of the machine. Why? So paper ready है, ink ready है, but plate नहीं है. वो plate ढूंढ रहा है. ओ मालिया के ऊपर है ना? अरे plate है साहब. वो ढूंढ रहा है. मिला? तभी तक मशीन नहीं क्या है अभी मशीन आइडल नहीं रखने का अला एनवेलप बना हुआ है वो कुछ तो छापते रहो और आइडल रखो ऐसा होता है ढूंढता है ओके ढूंढेगा नहीं वो मिलता नहीं और एक प्लेट छाप देगा चल मेक वन मोर प्लेट इन द मीनवाइल देयर इज अनदर आइटम व्हिच हैज कम उसका प्लेट तैयार है इंक तैयार है पेपर नहीं है वो जीएसएम का पेपर है और तीसरा उधर इंक है सॉरी इंक नहीं है पेपर है और प्लेट है अभी उधर देयर इज अ बिग कंजेशन नियर द मशीन इसका पेपर है बट प्लेट नहीं है इसका इंक है बट पेपर नहीं है प्लेट है बट सब जगह नहीं देयर इज नॉट इनफ स्पेस आप जगह खरीदो आप बिग गला करेक्ट अभी बिग गला किसको पकड़ेगा बॉम्बे में इम्पॉसिबल है तो देन ऐसा करेंगे साहब वी विल गो नो आउटसोर्सिंग like America is outsourcing to India, Bombay is outsourced to Ital Karanji, something like that. Latur में लगा देंगे सब. Okay, you understand? Actually, you will get this example. I'm sorry, I'm stealing your example, but if I will tell you how that is started with a very simple process. It's called visual management. The Kaizen answers are so simple. At the end of the Kaizen process, you feel, इसमें क्या है? ये सीखने के लिए कंसल्टेंट को पैसा देगा। अरे लेकिन तू नहीं किया ना 10 साल। Okay, so sorry, I'm stealing your example. I'm stealing your thunder. Actually, he did it there. Okay, so he just put up simple thing. Yeah, the machine he put up a simple board which said. Only the 3 columns. Job, sorry, 4 columns. Job number, quantity. Then इसका पेपर तैयार है क्या? Sorry, ink तैयार है क्या? Plate तैयार है क्या? And make the paper only if you have got ink and this thing ready. अगर plate नहीं ready है, ink ready नहीं है, तो कागज मत काटो, because that is the easiest thing to do. Okay. And that is the one which occupies huge space. When the paper comes, A huge quantity of paper, it occupies the space in the machine. The plate or it doesn't. So make sure these two are done. Only then you bother, you are authorized. Actually, you find that if you walk into this factory, you'll find you can walk like this now. Plenty of space. No problem. Yeah. And ordinary, material moves fast. Because earlier ये इसके लिए wait है, वो उसके लिए waiting है. Solutions are simple. Visual management, we call it 5S. Removal of search. Yeah. Like searching. Searching is one thing which is not recorded in any of the process maps. Now the American consultants will come and sell you value stream mapping as a part of Lean, JIT, etc. So you sit in conference room and make fancy value stream maps, far superior than what I've drawn. Never have I found a value map made in a conference room containing one operation set search for the plate. It's usually get the plate. If it is old plate, get it. If it is new plate, make it. It all looks very easy when you are having biscuits and coffee in the conference room. But the reality of that, guys, would do that. Hindustani will knew this very well. When you, what will sell in our country? Dhoondte reh jaoge. Okay. Now, if you can understand this paradigm, and this is tough, huh? But if you can, then what we say is attack the non-value adding activity first. The Japanese word for it is muda. Will you say muda? Just say muda. One more time. Muda. One more time. Muda. The nearest Marathi or Hindi word is murda. Because the meaning is the same. If your paper is coming there and sitting near the machine, duly cut, okay, waiting for the ink to come, paper का क्या होगा? मुर्दा ही होगा. Non-value adding. Okay. So you attack non-value adding activity, and that saves you money, straight out money, cash. Yeah. Of course, you need to spend money for value adding activity. Don't touch that. Okay. Attack this. Remove the business. This is the idea. This is how you can get the money out. This is printing technology. This is not Kaizen business. This is printing technology, which you know better and you can get better technology. But the better technology will work if you eliminate the waste that happens to spread around it. Okay. Yeah. So, Mr. Taichi Ono, I was telling about it. Huh? He passed away now. He said Kaizen is a continuous identification and elimination of all Muda Muramuri. Okay, Muda is waste, Mura is incorruption or inconsistency, and Muri is strain. You remember the example which Pranab had given one by pouring something? That is Muri, Because it's strenuous, he tends to avoid doing it, or he does it approximately, or he spills. Okay, now they have put some pipe and they pump it up, no spill. Yield improves there. So you go to make the man's work easier and your yield improves because there's less wastage from spillage. Like that. So this is what Mr. Ono used to always say. And he used to say that the question is, do we really know what is waste and how much waste we have? Because waste is like an iceberg. There is known waste and unknown waste, hidden waste. And guess which is bigger? Hidden waste. Yeah. After 55 years of Kaizen, Toyota is still doing Kaizen. Why? Because they say there is still hidden waste. When we retain, Mr. Okuda says never. It will never end. Because our eyes will grow sharper and sharper. And what yesterday we were considering it as value adding, today we will agree is waste. And this will go on. That is called growth. Yeah? So this is the whole key. Now, what happens is, there are 4 quadrants, The reality, whether I know or I don't know, and my belief that I know or I don't know. So, you can get 4 quadrants. So it's like, I believe I know what is waste. I believe I have no waste in my factory. Okay. I believe this, I believe that. So I believe that I know or I believe that I don't know. So if you believe that you know, and you actually know, okay, that's good. Now all that remains is doing. Because knowing by itself will change nothing. You need to do. Yeah. So this is good. This is a perfect match, as it should be. Now, the other cases where the person says, I don't know. This requires great humility, yeah? Which is what the automotive industry did in 10-15 years back. They said, नहीं आता है कार बनाने को, steering wheel बनाने को नहीं आता है. Actually बनाता था. They were making and supplying steering system, but the company said, मेरे को नहीं आता है. The moment he says नहीं आता है, humility comes in, and he says, now I can learn. And now he can learn with completely new paradigms. Completely new paradigms. Okay? So Kaizen becomes possible. At this stage of the company, the Kaizen is possible. Now whose belief is this? The big boss, the owner. Okay. Now there's one more quadrant remaining. What is this quadrant? I believe I know. मेरे को मालूम है. मैं 40 साल इसमें काम किया है. Okay. मैं शेड में चालू किया 10,000 रुपया से. अभी मेरा 100 करोड़ का बिजनेस है. मेरे को मालूम है. Okay. If it matches with the reality, no problem. But many times it doesn't match with the reality. So what happens? Can you do Kaizen? Can you do Kaizen? No. So in this case, Kaizen is not possible. Because you have the perfect combination for a decline. It's called arrogance plus ignorance. Okay. Either of them by itself is tolerable. When the two combined, it's the end. It's the beginning of the end. Okay. Yeah. So you have to watch out for this. And this is the only case where you cannot do Kaizen. So doing Kaizen requires a great courage to say, nahi. You need great courage to say that. And that's, I'm afraid, not easy. And that's why everybody doesn't do it. There's only the pioneer who starts. But if the pioneer continues and the pioneer gets advantage, okay, there's a law of marketing. It's not my law. Jack Trout and Al Rice have written it down in the book. 22 immutable laws of marketing. Immutable means you can't change it. Okay. So they have stated one of the laws of marketing is, I have mugged up that book, okay, because I'm in business. So I must know what is immutable, what I cannot change. One of the laws is the pioneer always wins. Unless you do something extraordinarily crazy, the pioneer always wins. Why? Because of the pioneer. So the pioneer starts off, the pioneer gets competitive advantage. Okay, the pioneer starts off and the pioneer gets competitive advantage. Then usually somebody else will say, what is that guy up to? Let me also do it. Let me also do it. Then the critical mass happens. When the critical mass happens, the remaining people have to do it. There is no choice. That is survival. But they get no competitive advantage. In the automotive industry, if you don't do Kaizen, you are dead. You will stop supplying any of your customers. You don't do, you call it by any name, TPM, Kaizen, JIT, Lean, you call it by any name. But if you don't do this new paradigm, I would say, you are dead. So 100% automotive industry is doing it. Automotive suppliers. And when we contact an automotive supplier, they never say, is Kaizen worth doing, is it good for me and all. They say, itna jaldi karega bolo. How fast can you do it? We are in a hurry. That's all. But industries where this has not yet come in, you get competitive advantage. Like chemical industry. We have some chemical industry people, and typically they don't want us to spread the word. Yeah, because they say, "Humko thoda khane do, we have competitive advantage." There's one company group called Excel Industries, Schroffs. Okay, yeah. They have also internalized Kaizen like Technova did, and they have spread it around. And in each of their plants, which they are working with, the lowest increase in capacity they have got is 40% with no capex. Alright, yeah. Then they have got 100%, 150% has happened in one or two cases. I remember when we entered Roha factory, it's like people were like, this is a 25-year-old plant of Telugu kya malum hai? You don't even know the name of a product. And 400 tons is what we make per month, that is the limit. Okay, 410 dega sahab, 420 dega. So he said, we are going to make 500. Boss ne bheja hai, to humor him for 2-3 days. But it happened. Okay, then boss came, abhi ho gaya, stabilized. For 6 months stabilized. 500, good. Abhi 600 manta hai. Okay, but now slowly Most of the people didn't say impossible. They said, I think, okay, try मारेगा. Okay, तो थोड़ा consultant का भी help दे दो. So he went and did. हो गया 600. तो boss क्या बोलता है? He's my classmate, you know. So क्या बोलता है? You can imagine how his thinking will be. 600 stabilized? अभी 700. No, he's very reasonable. He doesn't ask for 800 in one shot. He says small improvements, you know. Small changes, you make improvement. So he says, अभी 700 try. The beautiful thing is, the same guys who were saying 400 के ऊपर possible नहीं है, given this technology and this machinery. Today you ask them, what is the capacity of your plant? They say, it depends on how much Kaizen we do. No joke. They say, right now we are running at 600, but what is the true capacity of the plant? That depends on Kaizen. How much Kaizen we can, and how much Kaizen are you going to do? That depends on how much the market needs. If market needs 700 tons, we do Kaizen. If they need only 600 tons, we are going to stop. We do something else. Kaizen in some other area, cost reduction, etc. etc. So, they say, right now we are running at 600, but what is the true capacity of the plant? That depends on Kaizen. How much Kaizen we can, and how much Kaizen are you going to do? That depends on how much the market needs. If market needs 700 tons, we do Kaizen. If they need only 600 tons, we are going to stop. We do something else. Kaizen in some other area, cost reduction, etc. etc. So, whole mindset, complete mindset change is happening. So they say, अभी तू इधर pesticide industry में मत जा, हमको थोड़ा खाने दो benefit. After we have had 2-3 years, then बाद में we'll introduce you to our friends. Okay, ऐसा. It's very interesting, very very interesting. So this is when you can really do Kaizen. And our philosophy is very simple, sir. Have I made a mistake? If you do not understand, it does not change anything. If you understand, it does not change anything. Mistake किया क्या मैं? Right or mistake? Mistake, ना? Actually, not नहीं होना चाहिए ना? Right or not right? Correct or not correct? Correct. Why?
It's not clear.
Why? Why is it correct? It's like this is a training group. No? You understood everything. कुछ change होएगा क्या? By lunchtime, you have understood Kaizen inside out. Obviously, you have had the best professors there. Sorry. So, उधर कुछ हुआ क्या change? एक पेपर ज़्यादा प्रिंट हुआ क्या? 1 मिलीग्राम इनकम खर्चा हुआ क्या? कुछ नहीं हुआ ना? कभी होएगा? करना पड़ेगा. Doing. There was this great Chinese sage called Confucius. He says, knowing and not doing is not really knowing. Okay? 10 years back, my ambition was to be the best trainer, lecturer. No, I'm good at lecturing. You must have noticed it. So I thought I'd be the best trainer. But then I realized that training is all empty because people not there. It's a damn good idea. हम भी करेगा Kaizen. But you go to the toilet and you have to sit inside quietly. Then you hear the conversation outside. मेरे को करने का है Kaizen, but मेरा boss नहीं करने देगा. वो तो आया ही नहीं सेमिनार को. He won't allow me to do it. Then the other guy says, but तेरा boss आया, you're lucky. Yeah, हाँ रे, but मेरा worker नहीं करने देगा. तो इनसे अरे तेरा वर्कर भी था सेमिनार में. हाँ रे, but वो गवर्नमेंट नहीं करने देगा. ऐसा है ना. So in मराठी विषय न कर दिया सवार शनिवार. Today is what? So ladies and gentlemen, I think I've taken enough of your time and let me hand over to Farid Bhai and Mr. Arun Rawat. But all that we say is that this whole business of Kaizen can be summarized very simply as observation to find waste and immediate implementation to eliminate waste. Out of finding waste and eliminating waste, which is more difficult?
Finding waste.
Finding waste. That's right. Shigeo Shingo was another Japanese consultant, no more, died of old age. He had visited the US and he found boards there, you know. That's how the story goes. Eliminate waste. So he said, can I meet your HR manager? He said, congratulations. Why? You have excellent HR policies. Why? because you recruit stupid people and still you do good production. What do you mean we recruit stupid people? Well, you have to put up boards telling people to eliminate waste. They must be really stupid if they don't know that waste is supposed to be eliminated. So he said, he said, you know what? Most human beings, unless you have some goodness against somebody, most human beings, when they know something is a waste, will eliminate it or try to eliminate it. Correct? Those of you who don't agree, you can put up your hand. Apply to yourself, not me. And however, the real reason why people don't eliminate waste is they don't know it is waste. So if they start discovering it is waste, then, so we say that Kaizen is like Divya Drishti. It's like getting a divine new eyesight, and you can start seeing your own factory, your own manufacturing. Start with manufacturing, then go into service. You can start seeing things in a completely different way. Yeah? So your Divya Drishti coupled with your dream, you'll get fantastic results. And now instead of me talking about results, may I invite Mr. Bhai Magbodwala and Mr. Arun Rawat to take over and tell you what it means to your industry. Thank you.